welcome to the Liquid Green Health Show with your hosts Fred and Janet Cox, right here on Reality Radio 101. To get on board right now, send us an email. Our email address is liquidgreenhealthshow@gmail.com. And now, right to your host of the Liquid Green Health Show, Fred Cox.
And good afternoon. Good afternoon. Just in case you didn't hear the name Janet Cox, it's because she's not here this evening. I am doing a solo job because she's not feeling too well. But, you know, that's how it is. Good afternoon to our listeners. She would love to be here this evening, but as I said earlier, she's just a little bit under the weather. So it's just you and me, folks, right across from each other and the phone in between. And you can always, you know, send in your email. Welcome to the Liquid Green Health Show. To all our listeners across Canada, the United States, and around the world, thank you for allowing us into your private space. To all of our listeners, this is a very, 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 extremely, very, very, very important topic that we're going to be broaching this afternoon. My name is Fred Cox, and this is a live radio broadcast. Every Sunday at this time, we are on air. We offer information in an edutainment format. It is designed to stimulate the mind and bring us one step closer to living a healthier lifestyle. Today's show is sponsored by Liquid Green Products, producers of eco-superior green cleaning products for your home, your office, your car, and your pets. And I always like to ask this question: if you're not using these eco-superior green cleaning products, then what in the world are you using? All you have to do is to visit the website at liquidgreenproducts.com. That is liquidgreenproducts.com. Click on any product that you'd like to try. And of course, you know, you can go through the prompts from there. But let me tell you about specifically one of the product that is on the website. I want you to pay attention to our fruit and veggie wash. Why? Because we want you to elevate your food safety with Liquid Green Fruit and Vegetable Wash. It's also a preserver, okay? You can wash your fruits and vegetables with it. It has no toxic chemicals, so you're not going to be leaving a trace of toxicity on the food, your fruits and vegetables. It removes, you know, foodborne infections, pesticides and stuff like that, that farmers spray on their produce, especially if you're about to eat strawberries or kale or, you know, tomatoes, those vegetables and fruits and vegetables that grow close to the ground. You need to wash it, not just with water, or some people tend to use vinegar. Yeah, it's, you know, it's good, but it's not as effective as Liquid Green Fruit and Veggie wash. Okay, this is especially crucial when you're using garden produce. You want to be safe for consumption, and especially when you're serving these produce to children and to the elderly. So check it out, liquidgreenproducts.com. Look for the fruit and vegetable wash. And last week we said, listen, if you want to get a discount, send us an email. Send us an email with the words, I would like to get a discount. And then Janet, behind my back, even said to you that if you wanted a larger discount, said you want to get a big discount. And we're going to give you, you know, a code that could accommodate all of that. So as I said earlier, this is a live radio broadcast, but it is also available on Spotify and on YouTube as well. Please keep those emails coming. Send your email to liquidgreenhealthshow@gmail.com. And let us know where you're listening from, okay? Very important. Let us know where you're listening from. We have a very, very important topic we're going to be discussing today. And I have a very close friend. I can afford to say now he's a good friend, right? We've been in touch for quite some time. We talk a lot. As a matter of fact, we see each other just about every Tuesday morning. We have a Zoom. And ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our guest He's all the way from Montreal, sitting in a nice, cozy office. You're going to get to see him in a little while, right? His name is Pharaoh Hamid-Freeman, and he's the founder of OneFullCircle Melanated Community Resource Hub, OFC for short, right? That is OFC. OFC was founded in October of 2011 and currently serves a network of over 15,000 members, including Liquid Green. Okay, so we are a member of that network. And under Pharaoh's leadership, the OFC has hosted the United Nations delegates conducting the study on people of African descent in Canada, raised over $40,000 for a collective investment project. And through the OFC's advocacy group, the Black Coalition New Generation, they have hosted the 2020 peace protests against racism and police brutality in Montreal. He currently supports various committee and community initiatives, as well as sitting on the board of directors for Black Youth Socio-Economic Development Summit, International Black Economic Forum, South Shore Black Community Association, and Dream Legacy Foundation. And in addition to administrative work, my guest is also the co-host of the popular radio show, The Empower Hour, and that airs every Thursday morning at between 7 and 9 a.m. on CKUT 90.3 FM in Montreal. Now, I have to ask my guests, Pharaoh, it's a pleasure, before I ask you a question, it's a pleasure to have you on our show. Thanks for gracing our show. And I got to ask you, where in the world do you find time to do all of this? You have a family, you're busy, I try to reach you. I got to wait several hours before you can get back to me. I appreciate the fact that you can get back. I appreciate the fact that you're here. So welcome to the Liquid Green Health Show. And, tell us, where do you find the time to do all of this?
Thank you so much for having me, Brother Fred. Well, first of all, I'm part of the 5 a.m. club, Fred. So you know this. So, I make the time. I get up. I think I'm up like quarter to 5 in the morning. But also it's just, I balance it out because it is something, what I do is it's like a labor of love. But I won't sacrifice my family for it. I won't. And this came with time. This came with time and wisdom and experience. When I was younger, I was sacrificing everything just to get things done. But now I do appreciate a certain quality of life. I appreciate my loved ones. I appreciate time. So I really make it a point to, although I'm really passionate about what I do, it's to make sure that I balance. I make sure to take time for myself. I make sure to take time for the community and take time for business. So that's why I'm not always the easiest person to reach, because sometimes it's just not time. It's just
easy, man. You're like the sun. You just keep moving.
That's it. That's it. Thanks, Brother Fredman. But thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here today.
Oh, you're welcome. Now we're going to have a discussion. We're not doctors. I got to throw that out. We're not doctors. We're not psychologists. We are just individuals who resource information, and we have a passion. Both you and I have a passion for the community. And when I use the word community, even though we are two Black men talking about the subject we're going to be talking about, which, by the way, is mental health. That is what we're going to be talking about. And even though we're two Black men talking about it, I want our listeners to know that this conversation, when we use the word community to our listening audience, this is a global concern, the entire global community, right? And it represents people of all ethnicities. So even though we may be focusing on the Black community, there should be some nuggets rather for everyone, because mental illness really, it does not discriminate. Right.
And I'm really glad that you're making a point to say that, because so for those I'm not sure if everyone has heard the term melanated, but we took a lot of time within the OFC to make sure that the branding was very inclusive, because what we're doing, what we're building is a fortified, strengthened community. And to do that, it's not race-based. You can't alienate an individual because of their nationality or their race. if you're really looking to build an actual genuine community. So us being the melanated community network is really here. It is telling to the fact that we're here to bridge and support everybody. But to your point, it is important to acknowledge that the needs of the Black community need to be met, and acknowledge, just because there has been certain atrocities that the Black community has gone through, that we can't ignore. Right. So it's important that when people work with the OFC and deal with the OFC, that they understand that we're an inclusive network. We're here to help everybody, because, like you had just mentioned, mental health and different things that we go through is not, it doesn't care what your race is or your background. But it is important to make sure that we're putting that extra focus on the needs of the Black community.
Excellent. And folks, once again, let me just reiterate what we're talking about today. Our topic is mental health. Right? For the overall well-being, of this condition cannot be overstated. This is a health condition that refers to a person's emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It encompasses just about everything in a person's life. And there's certain aspects of this conversation we will not get into, because it's going to be touching on information that only a psychologist or maybe a doctor will be able to answer. But based on our lifestyle, based on our interaction with friends, neighborhood, Pharaoh, you're big into the community. You have a hands-on understanding of what's happening. You see it all the time. You know, you listen, and you know what it's about. So it has a lot to do with the victim's mind, this condition. And I'm going to refrain from referring to it as a disease. And the reason I don't want to refer to it as a disease, in my mind, this is more of a condition. It's a state of mind more so than a disease, all right? And, you know, when things are labeled a disease, then medication is being administered, and you know what happens when these kind of medicines have. So it's all about controlling stress, prioritizing behavior, coping with decisions, and the daily challenges of life. And the purpose of today's conversation, and any conversation around the discussions about mental health going forward, we want to open discussions about this mental health, because everybody that I've spoken to within the last few weeks, everyone that I've spoken to, they, you know, carte blanche says it's something that needs to be talked about. We need to talk about this, because, you know, this, well, we're going to get into it, right? Yeah. Our listening audience is diverse, you know, and so I don't want to say to my audience, get a pen and paper, call a friend, pick up the phone, call a friend, because this is a very, very interesting topic that we're going to be talking about. Now, Pharaoh, you're a community leader, you're an entrepreneur, you are a mentor. I listen to you a lot of times, and a lot of things that you say come over very reassuring. You have reassured me in many instances. You don't know it, but when we talk, you know, you have that warmth, that consoling message that you put over. What is it about our community that is so diverse and different that this particular condition causes such an impact to in our community?
Okay, so first, and when you say our community, you're referring to the Black community, or you're referring to our global community? Because the reason I'm asking, even just for clarification, is because, and I like the fact that you even you put a focus on it at the beginning to say how important this topic is, because it does impact everybody, and that's really that's where we're at right now. And what we're suffering with and why it's impacting everybody is because for us to be able to function, we need to take a step back and really assess our mindset. And so just to give the listeners just a bit of context and background about the OFC itself. So we've been functioning now going on 14 years. We serve a network now of over 16,000 members. And the whole purpose of why we created the OFC was to really create community, right? And it was to create this sense of a belonging. And it's like we remember a time where we'd be outside and we'd mind how we carried ourselves out the road, because an auntie might see you, an uncle might see you, they might report that information back to your parents, so you carry yourself in a certain kind of way. But now society has made us very fragmented, has separated us, where no one's looking out for each other, right? And for myself, as an entrepreneur, I've always been in business, but I got to a point in my life where it wasn't just about money anymore. It was like, okay, well, now I have children, and if we don't really get focused on this aspect of building community or something to sustain our next generation, my children are going to go through the same kind of struggle, same kind of rat race. So we said, let's really focus on building this thing that we call this community, this OFC community. And I'm really grateful for it, because it, like you had said, it gives me huge insight, because I'm able to engage. I engage with a lot of people. Like I engage with an excessive amount of people. So my perspectives, and why I'm able to speak with a certain level of confidence, is because I'm not coming off of theory. I'm coming off of real practical things that we've seen, we've applied, things that we've heard, that we've been able to work with other people and seen them apply, and things that worked. And what we're realizing right now is that for us to really be able to build, no matter how much we network, no matter how much we educate our community on how to spend money within, no matter how much we build programs to support the household and this and the third, if we don't take the time to make sure people understand their mindset, understand who and what they are, it's like we're pouring into buckets with holes in them, because it's nothing is sustaining, nothing is keeping. The foundation of us to be able to thrive as a people is our mental health. And our mental health is very much associated to our self-image, how we see ourselves, what we see ourselves. And that's really why it's extremely important for everybody. And that's why we're really going through it right now, quote unquote. When I say go through it, is because there's such a need right now. Like with the recent pandemic that we went through, it shed light on our reality as a people. It let us realize that we're not ready, right? As a people, like we started to realize, like when things started to collapse, we realized that we can barely sustain ourselves. We don't know how to take care of it. There's so many things that came to light with that. And not to mention the forced like isolation, the depression that came, the anxiety that was increased, and not to mention, and sorry not to go so deep in it, but we're also dealing with the fact that unfortunately within the Black community, we're dealing with a lot of stereotypical situations with the police. So we're dealing with a certain paranoia regularly. A lot of us are suffering from PSD. The impact that the negative experiences that the community has had with the police has created these traumas that a lot of us are suppressing. And right now, with like anything, the pressure, we're at a popping point. Everybody's popping, so to speak. Like the state of us of humanity right now is at a breaking point, because the pressure has been so much. So now is a time why mental health, like everybody's crying out for mental health support, because it's such a need. Like it's heavy on the people right now.
That is so true. Now, mental health, it carries a stigma, right? Mm-hmm. And the stigma is so it causes people to stay in what I call in the locker room. Mm. They don't want to talk about it. Yeah. People don't like admitting that they have issues, right? Is that addressed in the work that you do?
Yes, big time. Because right now, like I'm actually almost grateful for some of the things that we're going through, because if it wasn't for the contrast or the negative experiences, we wouldn't be pushing ourselves to start talking about things that are uncomfortable. Like we got so accustomed to following what the status quo was in terms of certain taboos. Like we just don't talk about certain taboos, that it's like it was killing us in silence. And now, and actually even shameless plug, we have an event coming up in 2 weeks in Montreal, where it's it's a mental health fair, to really create spaces where the community could feel comfortable coming out and expressing themselves and hearing other people's stories and getting access to the support that's available to us. These are things that it has to start happening in the community, but I'm big on focusing on solutions, and right now I'm seeing that as a community, people are asking more questions, people are being more vulnerable and expressing what they're going through. I'm seeing a lot of men explaining, like sharing from their perspective as well. I'm seeing more communication, more more vulnerability even within couples. I'm seeing things that people who are genuine about wanting to make things work with each other. I'm seeing that there's more communication, but it's something that we had to get to a certain point as a society, and I think now is it, where we had to get uncomfortable enough to start talking about things that are taboo and things that are uncomfortable for us to address.
Yeah. No, again, we're not doctors, we're not psychologists, and we're just average lay person that, based on our daily experiences in life, we come across people that suffer from these conditions. And if you speak to someone, regardless of which community they come from, whether it's the Muslim community, it's the Black community, it's the Jewish community, regardless of what community they come from, and they're experiencing this kind of discomfort in their life, they tell you a lot of stories. There's a lot of situation where people get to a point where it can become suicidal, right? It can become the point. There's a mass confusion that's going on. And like I was speaking to a young lady a few weeks ago in Scarborough, and I never knew that she was bipolar until we started talking about like meditation and stuff like that, right? And then she said to me, she's taking these drugs, and every time she takes it, it's like she goes into a different realm, and she doesn't want to take it, but because she is on insurance, that she's being covered, it's like they're forcing her to take it, right? And so that in itself, in my opinion, causes more bipolarism.
Man, brother, like what you're saying, it touches me and on so many levels. So first to address the medication aspect and even that situation where like she's almost being forced. One of the sisters, actually the sister who's hosting the event, and if anybody wants to look it up, it's Le Diamant Bleu de Nadia. So it's the blue diamond. Nadia's Blue Diamond is the event. And Nadia, her experience is that she was taking medication that caused her to become suicidal, and she was never a suicidal person. And it hit me because even within my own family, I lost somebody because of the same thing. Like she was fighting certain things, and she was going through it for years. But then they prescribed this medication, this medication that really did take her out. Now, again, we're not here to tell people to not take meds or whatever the case, but it's so important to have that sense of that community around you, that support around you, that because sometimes you can't fight certain things alone. You need a certain network. And to address the main point why we're here in terms of talking about what's happening in community, why we're functioning in the way that we are right now, which is completely backwards, is like I think you just said, is like we're dealing with a mass confusion. We have forgotten that our survival is based on our connections with each other. We're in a state right now where we compete with each other, and we don't realize that competition with each other is detrimental to ourselves. Like, so we're functioning counterintuitively. Like, instead of functioning as a people that should be building together to ensure our survival as a human species, we're actually, because somebody else has told us to compete, we're actually just doing it. We're competing for this currency that we actually don't even own or control, and we're allowing that to step in between us as a species, and we're actually killing ourselves because of it. Like that. So we are dealing with like we're functioning completely backwards in how we're supposed to as a species. Like, it doesn't make any sense, like in terms of what we're doing, but we're so caught up in the rat race. We're so in it. We got accustomed to doing certain things, but now, like society, everything is forcing us to stop and assess. What are you doing? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Like, why a lot of things like that I've been putting my time and my energy into does not benefit me. It doesn't benefit my life experience. It doesn't benefit my family, my children. I'm kind of just on this rat race, so to speak. I need to pause for the cause and just assess what's happening. And then the more we assess what really we start happening, we see where our strengths come from. Our strengths come from each other. We build off of each other. That's not truly how we're supposed to function as a people.
Yeah, it's that's a very, very good point, because and again, it comes back to community. If you don't have a lot of people that are suffering with this condition don't have family support, right? And if you don't have family support and then you turn to a community that is supposed to support you, supposed to give you guidance, direction, and that support is not there, then what happens with that individual, right? The individual becomes, for lack of a better term, becomes lost, right? So that's one of the things that it doesn't matter which community you're from. That is one of the standard that is the foundation of a community, to give support to its members, whether it's an individual or a group. Now, I got some survey here of mental health in Canada, and it says about 4,000 Canadians per year die by suicide. Right? Now, that's a pretty small number. When I don't know what it is in the United States, right? But that's a pretty small number compared to what's happening in the United States and the rest of the world. But whether it's a 1, 500 or 4,000, it is still a big number that is dying from a condition that is treatable. When it comes to the treatment of this condition, what's your opinion on nutrition?
Well, everything when it comes to dealing with mental health, you have to look at it holistically. Nutrition is important. So in terms of what you're actually putting into your system, it definitely impacts. Your nutrition is impacting, your surrounding is impacts you, your in terms of your what influences your surroundings, I don't want to say religious beliefs, but your religious or spiritual beliefs also impact you.
Spiritual understanding of self.
Your spiritual understanding, because those are foundational things, right? Communication, like your relationships with other individuals, it's to not actually address those things are like basically we can't we can't necessarily fix a problem without addressing mental health holistically. Now, when we're talking about food and nutrition, again, it's sad to say it or put it like this, but we don't realize that we're almost at war, right? It's like the powers that be that are in control of these industries, it is really a money machine. Like and we've seen it before. They're more focused on the dollar than the well-being of society, right? Of the well-being of the people. They will quickly figure out how to create processed food or create fake food because it's cheaper, and get that into society, even though it is actually killing society.
It's a money game. It
really is.
I mean, I don't know what to say. When you look at the foods that we're eating now compared to what we were eating when we were kids, or our parents were eating, and it doesn't matter what part of the world you live, right? Everything is highly processed, right? And with the overconsumption of highly processed foods, I am certain that it must have some kind of effect on the human body. Must have an effect. And when your body is not getting the right type of nutrition, then it's going to start to act and react and overact on what you're feeding, right? And that is going to cause a problem. So,
well, I sorry for cutting you. I compare it to the cars, like, because it's like back in the day, they used to build things there, and things were built to last. Like, and so the quality of things were different. Now, even like from the quality of the cars that are breaking down, the quality of everything are breaking down the same way. Now they have completely stripped the nutrition from food, and they're feeding us processed food, and it's breaking us down the same way.
They take out the nutrition and then they call it a different product, and they sell that as a special product. Right. So,
but then, like, what is our solution? So, and this is like, in terms of what we do within community, like, we could talk about what the problems are all day. Like, we know what the problems are. Like, we see them, we're living them. But it's so much more value to spend the time and energy into focusing on, say, we know that the education system is not teaching us or our children properly. We know that the food system is not necessarily feeding us. We know that a lot of times the legal system is not necessarily even taking care of us or fair. So if we're going to really do something to sustain ourselves as a people. Like independence and building within ourselves as a people, as a community, is imperative. And that's why, again, the state, like how we're functioning as a community, it's so important to actually take a step back and say, yo, why am I even competing with my brother or sister? Why am I not making it my point to spend money within our community? Why am I not making it a point to get to know who my neighbors are? Why am I not why is society like forcing me to separate when that is necessary for my survival? I have like what society wants us to be. They want us to be dependent on a system that has proven itself to not take care of us. Yeah. And we keep repeating the same cycles, expecting to get different results. Now that is, as you know, crazy. Like, so now if we're paying more attention and we're seeing and we're living and experiencing things like, and we see what's wrong, in other words, if we know what's wrong, we do have to now start taking accountability. We have to start taking responsibility for ourselves. We have to start looking at ways on how we can grow our own food, how we can start educating our own children, how we can start taking taking responsibility for ourselves, taking our own mental, physical, and spiritual health, like taking on the responsibility ourselves. So these are some of the things that we have to start looking at as a community if we want to be better, if we want to really see something different, not just for ourselves right now, but especially for our future generation coming up.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to share something. When I came to Canada in the 70s, just about all the houses that were built had a dining room, right? If you look at the newer houses that are that are being built now, they have this thing that is called the open concept, right? And basically the dining room has been removed. That big dining table, when you're having dinner, everybody sits around the dinner. So you have a communal type of, environment within the home. Yeah, that is a nurturing experience for little kids. As you grow, you get to understand communal living. You talk, you express yourself. You ask the kids, the children, questions. Well, how was your day at school? How was your week at work? That kind of conversation is no longer there. No. And so there's a disconnect. And when that breakdown has caused a breakdown in family, right? And it has separated. Today, you go to some places and you look at people eating, somebody's eating in front of the TV, somebody's eating, somewhere else. Family get together, everybody's on the cell phone, right? Yeah. That disconnect. There's no humanness anymore, right? So as you mentioned earlier, we're living in a box that is filled with music that you don't understand, right? And that crazy world that we're in, the distractions that we're being bombarded with, cell phones, texting, computers, everything. It has an effect on our psyche, and I think that is one of the reasons that's leading to the increase of mental illness situations.
100%. And the thing is, again, because at our root, and this is something that one of the initiatives that the OFC, our advocacy group, is developing right now, one of the initiatives is to really start bringing more emotional intelligence back into our schools, because now we don't have it. Like, our children aren't being raised with it, and there's such a huge disconnect. Like, when it comes to we are like you just said, like we don't know how to engage with each other, and our youth, unfortunately, because they're being raised behind these screens, you put them in a space where it's just them and they have to engage with each other, and you see the anxiety. You see they do not know how to function, and it's like, and guys, and this is like, we're taking it super lightly. This is the generation that is supposed to actually run the globe when we are not here. So now, if we aren't taking an active role on starting to curb that a little bit, and I'm not like, I'm a believer in balance. Like, so you want to use the technologies, you want to leverage the technology, but you want to leverage them to free up your time. Time is the most valuable thing that we have, and we're losing it. We don't realize how much we take it for granted. So now it's like, so because we're so distracted and we're caught, like we're not functioning how we're supposed to as a again, I keep saying it, as a species, as a people. We're completely fragmented, and again, I hate to put it like this, but if we were to frame it just a little bit differently and look at it like, is it possible that as a society we're under attack and we don't and we're not realizing it. If we were to just start to fathom that thought that maybe like the people that we actually trust are really more invested in their own financial interests, and for us, we're casual damage. Like it's if we were to start looking at things like that, we would take our own selves a little more seriously. We would actually be like, we actually maybe like putting so much trust in the system. They have our children for the bulk of the day. A lot of times our children graduate. By the time our children hit a certain age, it's almost like we don't know them anymore because somebody else has raised them. Society has raised them. And it's like, and guys, like these are the reasons why we do things like we created a healing retreat where now we're bringing people outside the city, and I don't say forcing them, but putting them in scenarios, environments where it's like they have to slow down, they have to unplug, they have to reconnect with themselves, reconnect with nature, reconnect with each other as a people. Like these are things that it's imperative that we start doing if we want to see something different. If not, then we do have to just accept that life is going to take a drastic turn. What we knew as a peaceful, comfortable way of living is never going to come back again. And that we have to be prepared to basically practically eat food coming out of pills. And that's really what it is, because that's where we're going with this fake food. They don't really want us to actually live, appreciate, taste, enjoy. They just want us to take in whatever's easiest and whatever's cheapest and the fastest for us to stay on our rat wheel.
Yeah.
So I go, Fred, I go in sometimes. I'm going to try to.
No, that's okay. That's okay. We're doing the best we can to bring out awareness. and that's all we can do, because as I said at the beginning of the show, I'm beginning to lose my voice. Am I catching something?
Oh no. But but actually, as you say that, because you just jogged my memory, because there's something that I feel it's important, and if you permit me, it's on my spiritual side. So it's like I'm a spiritualist, right? And so I see myself more as a spiritual being living in a physical body.
Yes.
And I feel that as a society, we have to trust that we're all a spiritual being. We're all spiritual beings living in these bodies, and trust that once we plant these seeds, positive seeds into an individual, so a person hears it. I'm a believer that once a person hears information and it's planted within their spirit is going to germinate it and make it grow and make it blossom in their time. Yeah. And that's something else that I really feel that as a people, we need to be it is important that we put focus, but we need to be easy with each other at the same time. So what I mean by that is we do need to lead with love. We do need to understand love is such a foundational thing for us as a people. We need to be understanding to each other. And so my understanding, your understanding right now is not going to be the same understanding as another person. And so for us to get frustrated with our brothers and sisters who aren't where we are, again, is counterintuitive and counterproductive, because we need to be building with each other. So we need to be more understanding to where we are as a community, where we are as a people, right? There's so many just little, if we make slight changes to how we treat each other, how we treat the environment, how we like treat ourselves, it would make a world of a difference. But we get really caught up in trying to make these colossal shifts in our reality, and they don't last, they don't stay, because they're not real. Like that's not how things actually evolve or change. Like it is incremental. So it's like, be easy with each other, be easy with ourselves, understand that we're a work in progress, but make efforts to do better. Like that's all we really need to do is not to be ignorant, not to be blind to it. Know better, do better. That's
I'm glad you touched on this particular aspect of our conversation, because I am, for one, I look at things two ways. I look at things first from a spiritual connection, and then I look to see how that affects me in my daily life. And I'm of the opinion, again, folks, I'm not a doctor. I'm of the opinion that some aspects of mental illness can be taken care of from a spiritual perspective. Mm-hmm. And I strongly believe in meditation. I believe when you go into meditation, you understand what it is you're doing, you can make a change, because some aspects of mental illness, in my opinion, is a spiritual disconnect. Mm-hmm. Right? And unless we address it from a holistic way, where you use spirituality, nutrition, and you use other forms of natural treatment, we will always be leaning towards the medical profession for help. And based on what we know, there's no secret. Based on what we know with the drugs that are given to patients that are suffering from mental illness, a lot of damage has been done to that individual or those individuals, right? I don't know the name of the drugs. I can't call them. The words are too expensive for me to call, right? So, but I know that a lot of adverse effects, and they tell you when they run the advertisements, they tell you, this is going to happen, that is going to happen, and they even list death, right? Could be one of the things. But still, these medications are being administered to people. Now, when it comes to Black folks, and again, I'm coming back to Black folks, specifically Black men, that is one of the reasons why our Black male do not trust the system, because they have seen what has happened with their, friends and relatives and counterparts. They have seen the effects of these drugs. And you're telling these people, you got to take the drugs. What is the drug going to do? Right? So, that we have to address it from a spiritual, or if not the whole thing, some part of spirituality has to come in to address mental illness along with nutrition. That's my opinion.
What you're talking is facts, my brother, because it is our spirituality and our mindset is foundational. Like it's I follow a guy, Joe, I want to say D'Souza, I can't remember. Anyways, the point is he really educates the people on how to change their physical state based off of changing their mindset. Right. And he gives a lot of examples, even using placebos, right? Because placebos is a perfect example where you could give a person a placebo and tell them it's doing a particular thing to them and watch it happen. Right. And I'm not making this up, right? Like, we know people talk about these type of things. So if that is actually a fact and those things can happen, that does mean that within our mind, within our ability, we have this ability to heal. Yes. Now, is this way of communicating and this way of thinking, is this in the betterment of the society that or the powers that be that currently govern the planet right now? Probably not, because the fact that now if every person were functioning in a way where they could actually heal themselves, in other words, now what happens to the system that generates gazillions of dollars by selling us these pills?
They don't like that.
Right, that's what I'm saying, Fred. So like, but again, a foundational thing. And again, guys, permit me, but this whole concept of us being spiritual beings living in bodies is such a root to the problem, right? Like us not acknowledging that as a root to the problem. Because picture now, in your infinite amazingness, you are a spiritual being, which means that you're connected with the all. You're connected with the universe. You're connected with God, the creator. So you're an amazing, powerful, all capable being. That's literally what you are. And you live in this human body, which a human body isn't perfect, right? It's and that's really what it is. It's like clothes, right? It's a little, whatever. There's some wear and tear. This human body has a mind. So now you have what you are is a spirit, and then you're living in this human body that has a mind. Now, somewhere in the system, where you guys came to being, and you came with an understanding that you're going to work in conjunction, meaning as a physical body, I'm going to think about something that I want, and then I'm going to trust my spiritual side, which is connected to everything, to manifest it. That's my reality. That's what I came into this life to be, and I came to experience. I came to do things. I came to manifest. I came to contribute to the whole. That's what I came to do. Somewhere in between there, the system got hijacked, and my mind and my body thought that they were by themselves, independent, and they could do it all. So now I'm a spiritual being trapped in this body, and just trying to remind myself by doing whatever I can, making myself feel bad, but I'm trying by any means necessary to help my actual body and mind remember that I'm actually here, that I'm actually an entity. And so what I do is I'll create scenarios. So now, as a spiritual being living inside of a body, my mind thinks about certain things. When my mind is thinking wrong, I get an emotional response. I either feel good or I feel bad. That's how my spirit is communicating with me. But because I've never been taught this, I don't know. So I'm constantly feeling bad, and I keep going deeper and feeling bad. And the only reason I feel bad is because my thoughts are offline with what I'm actually supposed to be doing or actually supposed to be doing. And my spirit is trying to tell me, is trying to inform me, trying to warn me by all kind of means. So that's why, like, knowledge of who you are and what you are from a spiritual standpoint is imperative for you to heal mentally. Because once you do, then you understand, okay, wait, I'm actually feeling bad for a reason. Let me stop and pay attention. What am I thinking? Now I'm thinking something that is not true. It's a lie, so to speak. And because I'm thinking something that's not true, it's making me, I'm getting a response. So maybe I'll change my thought process to feel a little better. Right. But we're not taught this. We don't know how these things work. So, but this is really what it is. That's our reality. We are spiritual beings living in physical bodies, and we've just forgotten who and what we are. And it's creating a lot of disease for a lot of people.
And that has been forced out of our mode of thinking from a very early age. Started with our parents, then it started with the institutions in which we were taught to believe in, and then some of us have mentors that, you know, just don't do the right thing. So it's the societal norm that we try to live up to.
And but the thing, religion has a place, you know, because religion, like again, it's like going or accepting a person where they're at, or understanding that like everybody will have their own door to come to their own understanding. So religion serves a purpose in terms of a door, but what ends up happening is we stop, we plateau, we forget that we're supposed to evolve. So once you get to a certain point, a certain understanding within your religion, it's always to continue to seek higher, to seek more understanding. Anytime you're in a space where they tell you don't seek, you do need to start questioning, because you should always be evolving as a being.
And that's, you know, that's what, you know, this whole month, probably right through to the end of the year, this is the topic that we're going to be talking about, mental illness, because it's a time when, for some reason, the numbers rise.
Of course.
Right? The numbers rise. We don't have a lot of sunlight. We don't have a lot of interaction with each other because, you know, the cold, you don't want to go outside. And that causes a disconnect. And
not to mention the holiday time coming around, and
holiday pressure. You have commercial pressures. People are unemployed. You have even if you're not unemployed, the salary is not enough to meet daily ends. You go into the soup. I was in the supermarket last week. I don't remember what day, and for some reason, every aisle that I turned into, I was behind this young woman. And I'm looking at her. She has a basket in her hand and just a few items, probably one or two items. And every item she went to, it took her a while. And in my mind, I'm saying, you know, she's really examining the prices of what's stuck on these items. She went to the meat section. She went to the dairy section. She went into the section that sells spices. Eventually, she walked out of the supermarket with just 2 items.
Wow.
Right? That is a reflection of what is happening to a lot of people. The stress of buying food, the stress of clothing, the stress of housing, right? So somebody who is already in that condition where they're experiencing a sense of confusion, that is more pressure on that individual.
My heart goes out to us as a people, because it's like, again, because we've trusted the system, so to speak, like we blindly follow and walk into all these traps. And right now, again, COVID, the gift and the curse that it did make a lot of people take stock of what's important to them. A lot of us are stuck in consumerism, where we're spending a lot of money on things that we actually don't need, and we're in this weird kind of rat race, and really not really investing our resources into things that actually create real sustainability for ourselves, and we're not investing our time into actually things that really help to enhance our lives. A lot of us are caught in these rat races, and we don't realize how much time we lose on social media. So these are some basic things now. And then then coupled with the fact that, again, the powers that be are slowly increasing the prices and lowering and not raising our wages in any kind of way. So prices of everything is increasing. And I don't know why I said slowly. It's actually pretty aggressive. They're like
very, very, very aggressive.
Yeah, I don't even know what I'm talking about. Prices are just skyrocketing. Things are getting super expensive, and our costs, so our cost of living is becoming like unbearable. And while this is happening, we're being conditioned to not lean on our brothers or sisters, not come together. Like, do you remember there was a time that we're, as families, we'd own one plot of land and build multiple houses on that plot of land, and everybody would be able to function and live in a certain kind of way. We'd farm within that mill plot. There were communal ways that we functioned as families, as beings on this planet that sustained life, that supported life. But we got so caught up, we still are somewhat caught up. I do like to speak more positivity into the universe. So we were caught up, right? And now our eyes are opening and we're coming to understand, what is really more important to us. And it is to take stock. It's like, okay, do I really need to spend, I don't know, $800 on these jeans? Maybe I could reinvest that money differently. Like, do I need to spend all these hours just scrolling through social media? Maybe I could actually take in a book or an audio that is going to actually help me to think differently and apply myself to different things. Maybe I'll take a second to connect with somebody I don't know, maybe start to network and start to bridge. This is going to be a business side of me that's going to start to come out, because economics is a fundamental thing for us to be able to keep balance on the planet, right? It's something that you cannot get away from. It's not all about kumbaya. It's not all about just peace and blessings. You do actually need to be able to have a viable business, put some energy into it, discipline yourself when it comes to your financing and budgeting and different things like that. These are all fundamental things that you need to be able to pay attention to. And as a business owner, you have to understand, how are you going to first, you should be running a business that speaks to you emotionally, spiritually, not just about the money. Something that gives you that goes in line with your values, and that helps you to fulfill what you feel is your life purpose on this planet. But then also you have to understand like the key fundamentals of how to do good business. And even as consumers, we need to understand the value of supporting these businesses. Hence the OneFullCircle is because we need every aspect of these things to be able to loop, to be able to sustain life, so
just hold your thoughts. I can't believe we're running out of time very quickly. I'm going to give you a chance to, when I come back, I need to go to check on some email. I'm going to give you a chance to come back to tell us more about OneFullCircle, right? And what you do, so that our listeners will have a better understanding. Let me just get to some email. And this one is from Donna. And Donna says, hello to Fred and Janet. Janet, please get well. Your guest sounds amazing. Wow. Good luck. Right. Thank you for that one, Donna. Irene says, Fred and guest, mental illness is everywhere and affects all races. COVID didn't help, and that is for sure. We need to be more compassionate and giving. Thank you for bringing up this topic. I do hope that a lot of your listeners will take the advice and grasp the information. Irene, thank you. That is so well said. I could not have said it any better. And Brenda says, hello, Fred. Mental illness is the highest rising sickness in the world right now. Forget about COVID. We must work with all of these mental issues. Thanks for being so passionate about this. We love your show. Thank you very much. And I'm just going to touch on one more because we're really, really running up. Boy, an hour goes so quickly, man.
It really does.
Yeah. Jake says, Fred is so right, and he's stressed on so about commercial dining. We need, communal dining. Mm-hmm. We need that to come back. It is gone. This is, there is that disconnect. There is that disconnect between family members, and things can get out of hand in life. The father is the stable entity of the family. The mother is just as important. But absentee fathers have been a problem for a very long time. We need family get-togethers again, and eating together is a start. And as I mentioned, I noticed that disconnect, that breakdown rather, from back in the 70s when we had family rooms, and then came into the 80s, they changed the design of the house. Things supposedly got more modern. With modernization, there's a price that has to be paid. And again, we're quickly running out of time, Pharaoh. I want to give you an opportunity to tell our audience about OFC. What initiatives you're working on, and where you see AFC going from here on?
Amazing. So
Not
thank you so much.
AFC, OFC.
OFC. So thank you so much. So to give everybody just the breakdown of what the OFC is. So now the OFC is actually one of our flagship programs under our nonprofit umbrella. And we're a social economy enterprise. So we're a nonprofit organization that runs a lot of our programs independently. We generate our own revenue to sustain our cause. So the OFC is one of our flagship primary programs. And so within the OFC, we focus on being a bridge between the French and the English-speaking melanated community, which is everybody, between individuals and business owners. We also support organizations as well as families. One of our main programs that supports the OFC is our holistic healing retreat and campground. So when you had mentioned in the beginning where we had raised some capital, it was for the establishment of our own retreat, where we're about an hour outside the city. We have about a half an acre there. We have a 4-season greenhouse on the property. It has a tiny house, a cottage, and it's a space where the community is able to go and to support, to get the support that they need. Different holistic healers work on there, and regardless of what the members of the community need, if it's just a space to go into nature or they want to connect with a health professional, they're able to do that through the healing retreat. And one of the exciting initiatives with that is that we recently just partnered with West Can Folk Performing Company and When the Village Meditates to create the Oasis Retreat Center, which is, we're still offering all that everything we're offering with the healing retreat, but now we also have a cultural element where we do drum, dance, rhythmic healing, drum healing, and different things like that. And with the When the Village Meditates, we brought in a meditation and yoga component as well on the ground. For where we're going, and I'm really excited about it, is that we're tightening up in terms of how we function as a community. So some of the things that even the listeners were addressing in terms of the family breakdown. Within the OFC, we're developing programs as we speak now that we're going to launch in 2024 that is going to help to support the family structure. So some of the things that I could share now is that our memberships are going to be family memberships. So as you come in as an entrepreneur, your actual whole household is a part of the OFC community. And with that, we'll have different programs and different initiatives that are family oriented, that are geared towards connecting with each individual within the family, geared towards fostering a certain communication and relationship within the family, and strengthening bonds within the family. Because again, for us to be able to thrive as a people, we have to assess these aspects. Like you just said, it might seem insignificant, but the breakdown within the household is impacting the globe. Right. So it's like, so if we could, so within the OFC, we see this as something extremely important. We're putting a lot of focus on relationships. So, and that's relationships with yourself, relationships with your family, relationship with others. Under relationships, we're also dealing with communication, because a lot of times things completely get destroyed based off of not knowing how to properly listen or properly understand or properly communicate what you're saying. So these are different workshops that we're putting in place to be able to support the community. We're also very much focused on obviously the finance aspect. So in terms of networking, in terms of getting people to really understand how to balance their finances, how to invest, how to make sure they're estate planning, make sure they have wills, make sure they have, these are fundamental things that we need as a community. It's relationship, and the other thing obviously is health. So focusing on the mental health, focusing on spiritual health, ensuring people are connecting with themselves and they understand who they are and what they are. So these are things that we're putting at their focus within the OFC. There's other elements of what we do. We have an advocacy group that helps to make sure that the voice of the community is always heard. And we have a school tour where we go throughout the province using music to encourage students to stay positive and to finish school. So these are some of the different initiatives. Sorry?
My brother, unfortunately, we are really out of time. I'd love to, if we had a lot more time. Folks, my guest this evening has been Pharaoh Hamid-Freeman. He's the founder of OneFullCircle Melanated Community Resource Hub, that is the OFC, and it's based in Montreal. This is an organization that was founded way back in 2011, October of 2011, and it currently serves a wide network of over 15,000 members, including yours truly, Liquid Green Products. This has been a wonderful, interesting conversation. There's so much that we didn't touch on. There's so much more to talk about, and we're going to be bringing on a few more people. There is an individual who has lived the experience with mental health. We're going to be having her on hopefully next week or the following week. Also want to bring on David Archer. I have his book. We were supposed to have him on the show, but we had to cancel. But, you know, we're going to be talking about this, all right? We need to. We have the platform and we have the audience. We're going to spread the word as much as we can. And with that, folks, unfortunately, we have to come to an end. Pharaoh, I want to thank you very much for gracing our show, and we'll stay in touch. Okay, let's grow. Let's get the word out there.
Please connect with us at ofccommunity.com. ofccommunity.com.
Okay, with that, folks, I must end the show. Time is against me, and you know, as usual, I like to say good health is central to human happiness and well-being. It contributes significantly to prosperity and wealth, and even economic progress. So, as healthy individuals, we are more productive and may even live a little bit longer. So until next Sunday, same time, same place, this is Fred Cox on behalf of Janet Cox saying, let's stay healthy on Reality Radio 101.
Thank you for listening to the Liquid Green Health Show with your hosts, Fred and Janet Cox, right here on Reality Radio 101.